So let us take one more example of synchronous and asynchronous programming. In this case, we will going to discuss what are synchronous and asynchronous mode of communication. So these examples will help you to relate the terms synchronous and asynchronous with the real life. So let us take one more example, that is conversation through telephone is an example of synchronous communication. So when you do the conversation on the telephone, let us analyze the steps involved. You hear what other is saying and you wait until the other side has completed his sentence. And when one speak, other one actively hear. And while you speak or hear, you don't do anything else. Alright, so you can see the symptoms of synchronous programming here. You perform the steps in a definite order. And you also find the elements of getting blocked or doing nothing other than waiting for something to complete. Alright, so this is the example of synchronous way of communication. Now coming to the example of asynchronous way of communication, and that involves the communication through email or a chat. So if you analyze the properties of email conversation or chat conversation, you will find that you don't have to wait for others' response. You shoot your email or a message without knowing if other one is in a ready state to receive or read your message. You don't wait for the reply either. Alright? You do something else and the reply comes when it comes, but you really don't wait for the reply from the other side. And you are notified by notification that the reply has been received. So here you can see that asynchronous communication is all about communication which happens out of sync. The two parties simply do not care about the other. The one party do not reply, the one party sends its message whenever it likes to do so. And you find the elements of asynchronous communication here, that you don't have to wait for other to complete his response or anything else. You don't have to wait for the reply. You are notified of the notification that the reply has been received. Alright, so you can see the elements of asynchronous programming or asynchronous mode of communication. And it is almost a bad software design if you need to get blocked for some reason in your program. However, blocking is justified in few scenarios. For example, your program is asking an input from the user, or your program is blocked on the select system call, waiting for the message to arrive on the sockets. Of course, it is obvious that your software need to wait if it is waiting for someone to send message to it, but at the same time, your software should be in a position that it should not go unresponsive. Alright, as an end user, you should still be able to interact with your program while your program is waiting for some message to receive from some other machine or some other thread. How would you feel if your computer gets blocked because you are downloading certain file from the internet and you are not able to do any other activity with your computer on your operating system? Alright, it would be very frustrating. So this is one more example that we have discussed just to give an idea that what is synchronous and asynchronous all about. If you do things in a definite order, and if you have to wait for certain tasks to get completed, and you can progress further only when certain tasks are completed, then those are the examples of synchronous programming or synchronous piece of work. Whereas asynchronous involves completely out of sync order of doing jobs. This world by nature is highly asynchronous. The problems, the events happens in your life asynchronously. You would never know what would happen tomorrow. And whatever happened tomorrow, you get into the position quickly to deal with that situation. Alright? Similar philosophy applies to the world of software development. Your software program is said to be highly asynchronous if it is able to deal with any type of event that is generated internal to the software or external to the software. For example, the user is interacting with your software through GUI or command line interface, but at the same time, your software is also in a position to receive network packets. Alright, this is the example of various network protocols or socket programs that you write.